So, welcome to this episode of the Glorious Both and podcast, where we focus on spreading awareness about the dangers and harms and dark side of self negating non dual spirituality. And in particular, I often have a focus on neo-advaita. And today I have a very special guest with me. And this is Cece from Germany. And Cece has become a really great friend of mine and also a collaborator in raising awareness. She's helping a lot of people with her YouTube channel in German, the German language, but sometimes there's some of the videos are translated into English.
I try
But
my
she's
best with
yeah.
the subtitles, yeah.
Um, and so we've known each other for a few years, but haven't given you the chance on my podcast to share your story with everyone. So we wanted to dive into that today. So thank you for being with me. So I think maybe we'll just start out with, just hearing from you what got you into non-dual spirituality, or I don't know if you would prefer to refer to it as neo-advaita, but what led you to the teachings? How did you find them? What's your story of how you got there? How did you get to these teachings?
Yeah, yeah. Um, it all started with Eckhart Tolle and with the book Now, the famous book Now. And I got it through my mother, I think. And it was in a time where I had really difficult problems with anxiety disorder.
Hmm.
And we all know these moments where we get aware of the here and now, and it's normal for us humans. It's not some supernatural stuff, but so I could really relate to his concept. It was
Mm.
like, okay, yeah, I remember these moments where I really feel here right now, and it feels peaceful and great. And so this was the initial the thing that got me. And what really changed my life for the positive in many ways for the first for a long time, to be honest. But that was my introduction to non-duality. I mean, I don't know. I still ask myself if Eckhart Tolle is really a non-duality teacher. I'm not sure, but I think it's connected somehow. And
Yeah.
after reading this book and practicing being here and now and letting go of my thoughts and feeling really good with this, I started to go online and search for. I'm still not sure how I found satsang then. I don't remember because it's 20, almost no 15 years ago, I think.
Okay.
And I stumbled across a satsang forum, a German one, and
Okay.
I got to know a guy, and he introduced me to satsang, and then I went to my first satsang with. Do you know Samapan? Because he's the
I
English guy.
no.
Okay. He's an English teacher now. He calls himself Soham, I think. But he also came to Germany a few times, and that was my first experience with live satsang then.
Okay, so it was live in person.
Yeah, live in person. A lot of people, I think 300 people or so. So
Oh wow, like a mega satsang.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that
Okay.
was my first connection.
So
Yeah.
what would you say was what were you hearing there? What were the main messages that you heard in that satsang that pulled you in or attracted you?
I think maybe what's also important to say is that I had problems. I had great social anxiety.
Mhm.
So going to the satsang was very, um, you know, how do you call it? When you're nervous a little bit.
Like this gave you anxiety to go?
Yes, yes. But when I came there and the people were sitting together in silence, it
Mm.
was super great for me because I didn't have to talk to anyone.
Right.
I could be in a group without talking and without
Mhm.
having this social fear. And
Yeah.
that drew me in. and I liked the peaceful atmosphere,
Mm,
and it felt so like everyone could be really authentic. There were
mm.
people lying on the ground and sitting in a corner however they like, and there were children there. That was okay, and it felt so open and
Right.
open-minded, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And the main teaching of Samapan, it wasn't radical non-duality. It was maybe just a little bit non-duality. It was more like feel your feelings. That was his core message.
Okay.
And I really like this, to get in touch with my feelings, but also it's really easy in this setting because you feel
Mm.
peaceful, you feel calm, everything is so lovely and easy, and you have all these positive feelings, and to feel this is just not a problem.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it felt great at first.
Okay. But so what was like the feel your feelings sounds like pretty healthy. Was this satsang or this satsang leader including like self-negating non-dual teachings or not really?
I think he did, but not as, but I don't know because I think I overheard many things in
Mm,
this time. I just heard the things which resonated with me and which felt good, and yeah, I think it wasn't his main message. So it, yeah, but I also think it wasn't really healthy because there were many people who were really psychological, yeah, I can say damaged. They really psychotic people who came
mm,
upstairs to him, and they weren't even able to ask a question because they were so confused, and they were talking about whatever stuff.
mm.
And the teacher was sitting there like, feel your feelings, blah blah blah. And now I see this really critical. I don't think that's a good idea to tell psychotic people, feel your feelings. It doesn't help them. But in this time, I don't know why I didn't recognize it. It was like, okay, these people are also there. It's okay.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
sure. It takes a
Yeah.
while, I think, to start to see like the dark side of these things.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then how do you, because eventually you did get into hardcore neo-advaita and self-negating non-duality. So when did you begin being exposed to those messages? What was the next sort of stepping stone that pulled you into neo-advaita?
I think that's a little bit because of my obsessive nature. It
Hmm.
was, I think, 1 year or so after meeting this Samapan guy that it felt like, okay, feel your feelings is not enough for me. Because somehow they are talking about enlightenment here. And there
Hmm.
has to be more to it than just to feel your feelings. There has to be more philosophy somehow. I wanted to go deeper into this
Yeah,
because I felt that there's more to it than just this. Feel your
right.
feelings and be here now.
Yeah.
It's, and then I found the teacher I was with for, I don't know, 5 years then, or something, or 6 years.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. And who is that? You feel
That's a
okay.
that's a German guy. His name is Gaia. So your viewers will not know him, and he is not really famous. So I think
Oh,
he still has 20 or 30 people in his satsang. So small group.
and would you describe him as a non-dual teacher or
Yes,
neo-advaita?
yes, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
he's
So,
not in the radical non-duality field, but very neo-advisor, and also this things like there's no self and no doer. It's also a kind of thing for him.
okay. So you start out with going to these events and reading these books that are presenting spirituality or some type of, would you say that was your expectation around freedom from suffering? Like what was kind of like the hook for you? Was it because you mentioned that they were talking about like enlightenment and things like that, but what were you hoping to get from exploring all of this?
Mm, definitely freedom from suffering. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my
That's what pulled
my
you in.
yes, yes,
Understandable.
and that's what held me there for all the years.
Because some of those practices and ideas led you to feeling a sense of like more quietness in your mind and some degree of like freedom from overthinking and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so then I guess I want to really like understand like your introduction, I guess, to the more like kind of hardcore um non-dual stuff around like there is no CC, like everything's just a story, and all of these things that I know were super harmful to you in the long run that led to dissociation and things like that. So, can you like share like I don't know, like a glimpse into when that began, or like, that new teacher that you mentioned, like what was he teaching?
I mean, there were similar things. It was also about be here now, but it was more about drop your story.
Okay,
That was main focus, and to realize who you are in reality. So you are not this person you think you are, you're not the ego, you are the true self, the consciousness. I think he was like your pure consciousness is your true being, and you can recognize this, and I will help you recognize this.
okay,
So his main focus was doing these exercises to yeah, drop your story, feel how it is now, and look who is seeing it. It was he didn't drop these who is questions, but
right,
like everything, you cannot be the things you see. Or
okay,
so, and that then the conclusion was okay, because you can watch yourself, that means that you cannot be the things you watch. Can you say
yeah.
this in
You
better
mean
words, please?
you are not your thoughts, you are not your feelings, like you are
Yes.
what's witnessing them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so it shifted into more of an emphasis on discovering the truth and like the true nature of the self and reality, and about discovering that through their practices and their teachings.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Um, and how was that for you? Mhm. Like as you started kind of taking on that as like your new goal, like was
Mm.
that something where you were like, yeah, I want that. Like I want to know the
Yeah,
truth.
for sure. I wanted to know the truth. I wanted to stop suffering, and I wanted to realize myself as eternal, because I was really afraid of death.
Mm.
And the idea, because they always say like you were never born and you will never die because consciousness, blah blah blah. So I really wanted to experience this to be sure that I will not die. Um,
Right.
yeah, sounded great to me. And it felt in these moments in satsang, it felt really peaceful also to shift my focus from my story, so to say, to that what was happening in the moment. And sometimes you were just sitting in silence and looking at each other. And it was a radical mindfulness, and it felt really peaceful and great. And also this feeling that you can talk to this teacher about everything. He will not judge you. And I think that was also something which I didn't experience in my childhood.
Right.
And it felt so good to be seen and
Mm.
not be judged, and have this feeling of just being okay like you are. Even if
Yeah.
this self is an illusion. The funny thing is, eh, many years, I also, it feels like I try to overhear many things. It's I didn't quite understand what they mean by this. I had my own idea what it means to say there is no one.
When do you get to the more extreme stuff that I know that you got into?
I think that's extreme enough to be honest. Yeah,
Fair.
because it's not just mindfulness. There are so many concepts around this, like being eternal and not being the person, and it's so it got so exhausting because you want to be always in this peaceful state, and you have to remind yourself constantly in the normal life that you don't really have the problems you feel right now, because in reality you are the presence and the peace, and you try to concentrate on this and it doesn't work, and so you try to work on your thoughts even if it's not possible when you're not there. And I
No.
mean, there are people were sitting there since 20 years or so. I mean, what do they do? And they just sit there 20 years waiting for enlightenment and doing all these exercises.
How many years were you part of that community and learning from that guy, Gaia?
5 or 6 years, I think.
Okay.
It was not like I was there every week or so. I think I was in live satsang maybe twice a year.
Right,
Sometimes I was visiting him for one-to-one session, but that was also not so much. Um, but in this time, I also started watching a lot of online satsangs and reading a lot of books.
right,
So it was not just the influence of Gaia, but
right.
also other stuff I consumed. And there it started getting like an addiction.
Yeah.
Mm.
Was it about disidentifying with CC, or was it seeing that CC doesn't exist? Like, what was it that you were attempting to make happen?
It was more like disidentifying. This was the goal. But I also didn't know at this time what this really means.
Okay. And so what starts to happen? Like, what's the effect on you? Did a shift start happening in how you were experiencing reality, or were you just kind of hearing
At
it and trying to figure it out?
Yes, yes. I just tried to figure it out, and I just enjoyed the space in satsang and feeling present and feeling some kind of peace and identifying myself with this inner feeling of peace. I think this happened, that sometimes my focus shifted to this inner peace, and I thought, okay, I am this peace I'm feeling right now. And but I still felt connected to my person.
Yeah.
Um and this was okay. It somehow, sometimes it was exhausting because you try to always be in the state, but
Yeah.
sometimes it was really beneficial also.
So at this point, it was still like mostly positive
Yes.
and
Yes.
helpful, and it didn't become like unhealthy or toxic yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful to know. And so then you mentioned that from there you started reading books and watching videos.
One book is really important, but that plays a role later on. So
Okay, got
yeah.
it. So when you start to get, like you said, like this addiction to like reading and watching videos and stuff.
I tried to read Nisargadatta, but I didn't understand a word, to be honest. It was like, what the fuck is he
Like what?
talking about? um, yeah, like this. I read a few Ramana, small Ramana books, but that
Yeah.
was also not. I don't know. It's like this. How can I forget this word? The how can this happen? um, the thing Ramana taught, the self
Right.
inquiry, the
Yeah.
self inquiry stuff. I did it in the way to just concentrate on the peace I feel inside. That was all.
Okay.
So it got complicated when I got deeper into this, and this whole who is blah 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 questions. Who is thinking, who is feeling, who is doing, then it got complicated.
Okay. I
Yeah.
can understand. So, yeah, I think that was what I was going to ask next was like, when does this start to go from something that you're finding is mainly helpful to something that is actually affecting you negatively?
Yeah. When I went to a retreat in 2017, because I was still on looking for enlightenment, and I really wanted to get enlightened and to get this message somehow, because I still knew there's something more going on. Mm,
Okay.
And it was a period in my time where I was really suffering because of a breakup. And
Okay.
I also had this idea that realizing the truth will set me free in terms of um, letting go of people. So
Okay.
be free of attachment. Um,
Right.
that was also a thing I was looking for. And one of the teachers was a guy who thought it is a great idea to tell everyone that they are robots and that you don't
Oh,
have free will and that you can't do anything and there's no doer, and all the
okay.
time. And he was all the time asking these questions, like you have to look who is thinking, who is experiencing
Okay.
the things, who. um, and at one point I started getting a panic attack in satsang, because
Mm,
somehow, and that was really a important point, I somehow I understood suddenly that all the years before I had no idea what they were meaning when they
mm,
talked about
mm.
self.
Okay.
So it was a point where it was like, okay, don't understand anymore what self do they mean. What kind of self should die here? Because I
Mhm.
think beforehand it felt more, I don't know, some kind of ego structure has to die, but maybe more like the negative parts of your ego, or somehow like this. And in this moment I really realized that it is more, they mean more by self when they talk about self.
Okay.
And that was really anxiety inducing. Mm,
So it was like that realization that like, oh, this is not about like healing certain parts of the ego or getting rid of like, the unhealthy parts of the ego, but this is about like total self annihilation.
yeah,
Like
somehow
there
it was not so clear. It was more like a little feeling that somehow, yeah, it's about more from myself, which I shall let
hmm.
go of here.
And then you started getting a panic attack.
Yes, and I was really brave, because I
Oh,
got up, and I got up front with my panic attack in front of 30 people or 20 people. Mm,
wow.
yeah, really wow. I don't know how I did this, but I think I just wanted really to, it was, I mean, it was the retreat where I wanted to get enlightened. So it was like, okay, that is the moment to
This is
work
it for me.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So I went to the teacher and I talked with him, and this was really okay. He did some like feel your feelings stuff. Just let the panic come and feel it. And how
Yeah.
does it feel? And then it went away quickly, and that was okay. I think, yeah, it was okay how he dealt with this. Afterwards, it was okay for the retreat. It didn't repeat with the panic or anxiety. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know why. I don't know, but it was okay. I was, I think I was even a little bit manic when I came back home, because you're
Okay.
also the whole day in this atmosphere with people who are all looking for enlightenment, and everyone is so
Yeah.
nice, and you compliment each other the whole
Yeah.
time, and no. So
Yep. There's like a very big sort of like energetic buzz, I guess, that you
yeah,
can get in these
yeah,
experiences.
yeah. So I came home and I was like, way, I'm not enlightened, but I feel really near
I'm almost
enlightenment.
there.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
almost there.
3/4 of the way enlightened.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so when do you start to like this? You said this was like the first time that you kind of had like a really bad experience within the event, although it was also like good things were happening too. But when does all of this start to lead to harmful effect?
I think that was the 2 or 4 weeks after the retreat. where I got really depressed out of nowhere. Um,
Mm.
I think it's there are few factors which led to this, but that's not important. I felt really depressed, and I also felt really anxious, and I didn't quite understand because it. I felt so great before after this retreat, and so why does this happen now that I feel so bad?
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
understand. So my idea was okay. Now it's so crazy almost. Um, so that means I still haven't realized the truth, because if I had, I wouldn't feel this shitty. So I put all my energy into my searching for freedom, and started doing these exercises, like who is doing the things,
Mm.
very, you know.
Yeah, if you were doing it on your own, like, all the time, like, trying
Yes,
to constantly do it, and would you s like, the way I think of that is, like, it's self-inquiry, right? That it's, like,
yes,
try to find the one who is upset or the one who is depressed, and idea being, like, well, there is no one there, right? That's what you're meant to discover on your own through
yes,
constantly
yeah.
asking, "Who am I?" and or "Who is that one?" And then so what was happening? Like, what experiences were you having now that you're starting to, like, do it on yourself, like, in your daily life?
It's important that you mention this, that when you do these exercises, you know what it should lead to. You know that you shouldn't find
Right.
anyone there in the end, you know?
Yeah. It's not, like,
So,
open-ended. It's like
yeah,
there's one answer that you're supposed to come to, right? And,
yeah,
like, one experience that you're supposed to have.
yeah. Yeah, so I asked these questions the whole time, and it got so, I think then this was the time where the depersonalization they blah, blah. This was the time where the depersonalization, I hate this word in German too, started,
Okay.
because I started watching myself 24/7. And
Mm.
if you ask who, and always it's like looking at yourself the whole time. And
Yeah.
at some point, it switched from this kind of normal witnessing of yourself to this extreme witnessing of yourself, where I
Hmm.
couldn't just hold a cup and hold a cup. It was like, who is holding this cup? And the more I did this, the more I detached from myself, and the more weird everything got. It's at some point I was just looking somewhere, and was like, who is looking? And can I control where I look right now? I don't think so, because I know I don't have free will. So everything
Yeah.
happens on its own. And so I'm not the one who is consciously looking at something, but it just happens like out of nowhere. And then I started getting panic attacks again, for sure, because this is really scary stuff. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it was kind of like, and I understand it somewhat from my own experience and other people's, like, it turns into sort of like this obsessive self-focus, right? Like
yeah.
on on your immediate experience also, but then on like what the self is in those moments. And then it also sounds like that you were would you say that, like, in a way, it was like you were starting to feel kind of like stuck as this like detached sort of like third person view on things of like you're not, in your first person, Cece's doing things, but it's like you're watching from a distance everything that's happening or yourself, but like in a way that was starting to be um starting to cause distress, like not being something that created peace and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, it fluctuated between the
Hmm.
first person view and this third person view, but the third person view started to feel not really right. But I couldn't stop doing these exercises, because I still thought something will switch at some point and then it will feel great. because there
Okay.
still is some kind of self. So this has also, this must die
Okay.
also, and then it will feel better, or some ideas like this.
Yeah.
And at the same point, and that was, uh, I read this book from Susan Siegel, Collision with the Infinite.
Yeah.
Not a great idea, because um, this made this idea stronger, that the witnessing part is, which felt not good, is in reality somehow linked to enlightenment, and there's just some misunderstanding, or some, I don't know how to explain it better. I mean, you know the book.
I do know the book, yeah. I didn't read all of it, but I do know it, and I also know that like a big part of it is sort of like framing any distress that you're having on this path as like kind of you're getting closer, or like that it's a sign that, you're starting to realize the truth or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's starting to be distressing, and it's disrupting like your kind of like daily moment to moment experience.
Hmm.
So how else did you notice it started to affect you? Because it sounds very like alienating, like, and that I would imagine if that was happening, like that there would have been other effects. I don't know, maybe on like your relationships or were there other ways that you
Yeah.
started like it was harming you?
Yeah, I mean, I was really isolated at the time, because I had a remote job, 10 hours a
Mhm.
day remote job, which was crazy that I, oh, somehow managed to do this. I don't know. But that was all I was doing at this time. And I tried to stay at home most of the time, because everything felt really crazy. And yeah, I was just isolating myself. And I was lonely and depressed and anxious, and didn't know what this would lead to. But I still hoped for the moment
Yeah.
where it would click in a
Mm.
positive way, you know.
Yeah.
But then it clicked in a in a more negative way. Yeah.
Okay. And did you already describe that, or is that like the next part of
That
the
was
journey?
the last step on this part of the journey, because it's funny, because it's a little bit like the story of Ramana. But I had a panic attack again, and
Mhm.
in this panic attack, I thought, okay, now is the chance to ask myself, who is having this panic attack, or who is there, or I don't know what kind of who question I asked myself. But in this moment, and that was really crazy, it was like the first time look looking inside myself and really finding nothing anymore. Just poof. I, I cannot explain this with words. I sound like a satsang teacher, but really you cannot explain it. But it was so super scary, because it really felt like disappearing. Also, I had never existed. Like like they
Mhm.
say, it felt like everything before was just an illusion. And this moment, I realized that there is nothing, and that
Yeah.
I'm not existing. And yeah, it was really really scary, and no freedom at all in this moment.
So you feel like you were having the realization that all of these gurus and teachers were having, like that you were like, oh, this is what they're pointing towards, but it didn't come with the feelings that were promised of
Yeah.
like, bliss and freedom and joy. It was more just like a terror.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolute terror. Yeah. And I for myself, I think I had the right experience,
Hmm.
because people come to me on my YouTube channel often and say, like, you just didn't have the right experience, because you wouldn't criticize it. And
Yeah.
but really, I can explain it in exactly the same words. And for
Yeah.
me, it was the right thing, but it wasn't the right thing for me to
I
live
understand.
with this. It's not.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't have the intended effect.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that doesn't mean that you, and I also I know what you mean with the whole kind of like, you just didn't get it, or it must not have been, the same realization or experience, when I think what we've come to see is just that these experiences can affect people in different ways. And
Yeah,
sometimes it can be positive, and other times it can be extremely uh, distressing.
I
And
think
it
so
can still
too.
be the same, that you're still, recognizing the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so you had like a huge moment of like, oh my God, I'm seeing the truth now, and I actually, it's actually not, it's not freeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that was problematic for sure. Um, yeah. And this kind of state, which I would now refer to an extreme case of depersonalization, got
Yeah.
chronic at this point. I still had some fluctuation and some moments where it was better, but it kind of, because I focused on it so much because it felt so distressing, and it was like, wow, okay, this is the truth I was looking for all these years. What the
Yep.
fuck? Why? This doesn't feel right. But I couldn't stop focusing on it because it felt true. It felt like
Right.
seeing the truth. So yeah, and then it got chronic over the next few weeks, and it got so bad that I wasn't able anymore to live on my own because I was in constant fear. I was like shaking the whole time. And so I called my mother and I was like, can I please come to you? And for sure she said yes. So I moved in with her again for 6 months, I think. Four,
Mhm.
6 months. Um, yeah, because I wasn't able to live on my own anymore. It's really crazy.
Well, we hear that a lot from many people, right?
Yeah.
That reach that stage, that it can create like extreme dysfunction.
Yeah.
And so at that point, were you already realizing like, I want to get away from this, or were you still like, I need to keep going, and I need to figure out how to, stop being afraid of the truth, or
Mm, um, I definitely wanted it to stop instantly, but I thought, I mean, I was in this scene for so many years, and it was, I trusted these people, and I thought maybe, okay, maybe there's a little bit of misconception or something wrong with me or something. I have to learn to deal with this, or I have to frame it in another way, like Susan
Mhm.
Siegel did. Um, so I tried to contact, or not tried, I contacted two of one teacher from the retreat and the teacher from before the Gaia. I contacted
Okay.
them and tried to get help from them, but it wasn't very helpful. Um, and after this contact, I decided to try to get completely out of this.
After you had those conversations with the
Yeah,
teachers?
yeah.
And what was it in those conversations that made you realize that?
Um, yeah, I have to say, it was so bad that I went to the psychiatric hospital for 1 week because I
Mhm.
thought maybe they could help me. They couldn't. But I went there, and in this time, I wrote an email to this teacher from the retreat and told him the whole situation. And he said, I don't think the psychiatric hospital is the right place for you. You should leave and you should go somewhere in the nature, and you're in a process, or like a snake, getting rid of your old skin, and you have to transform, blah 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 blah. And it was totally irritating for me. It was like,
Mhm.
what the hell? Why he doesn't know what's good for me? I mean, I feel so bad that I went to this hospital, and he, in an email, he can tell me that it's not the right place to be there. That it doesn't
Yeah.
feel, didn't feel right at all to give such an advice. And I also didn't feel in some kind of great transformational progress or something like this.
Yeah.
It was my, I want this to end.
Right, right. So do you feel like that, like your intuition kind of kicked in that something's not right here and that maybe these people are not trustworthy in the way that I thought that they were?
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And the other teacher, Gaia, he said to me, when I was talking about feeling like a robot and that it's so unsettling for me to hear myself talk all the time and to not
Hmm.
be able to identify with my words again, and that that it feels like a robot is talking and that it
Yeah,
feels shitty. And he was like, yeah, but that's just the natural way that things are. So that was somehow, it was like he was saying to me, you're on the right path
right.
because what you're experiencing is true.
Yep.
And somehow I was looking for, I think I was hoping that the teachers were saying, what you're experiencing right now is wrong. That's not, we will get you out of this and then we will get you to the right enlightenment. But
Yeah,
somehow they enforced me in this view that this is a great place, or somehow it can be transformed, but somehow it's right because it's also true. It was really confusing. I think that was
yeah,
also a point. It confused me more and more to talk to these people.
yeah. It didn't calm you or give you better
Yeah.
clarity. So it sounds like this is the point where you're coming to these teachers and saying that these teachings and the shifts and the realizations that I'm having that um, match what I know, like I'm supposed to be realizing, but it doesn't feel the way basically it's been taught that it's supposed to feel, and it feels wrong. And they're basically saying that this is your, would you say that kind of the narrative was like this is your ego resisting the truth and you have to just like let go of that resistance and like just accept this truth, and this is kind of the problem is like that your ego is still in the way kind of thing?
They didn't say this to me. I think it was more a thing I said to myself because I heard
Mm.
this a lot. So
Oh,
I still don't know what they are really, what they were trying to tell me, because it was really confusing and everyone said some different stuff. I talked also to the other teacher from the retreat, and his
mm.
answer to my problem was just be. Just be. And after the call, I had a video call with him and I thought like, what's this? What, how should this help me? I'm really suffering here. Just be?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So
And
you got like,
I think I had to pay 80 euros to get this
I'm sure.
tip.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just be.
just be.
So you were getting sort of like these simplified solutions.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
be or just accept it or whatever it is, or
yeah,
just keep going seems to be
yeah,
kind of the message that's
yeah,
pretty common. That like, you're in a process, maybe like, you're just going through a difficult part of the process, but
yeah.
I'm assuming like there was no sense of like, oh, maybe this actually is dangerous for this person, and you
No.
know
Yeah,
in no way giving you a sense of like you don't have to keep going this way
yeah.
if it doesn't feel good or whatever. Okay, so then it sounds like that, and rightly so, gave you this sense of okay, something's wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
And so where do you go from there?
Yeah, that was a really big problem because I had no idea where to go. And for sure, I looked into the internet trying to find people with similar problems, and I
Hmm.
didn't find anyone.
Really?
And I mean,
Okay.
this was 2017. I mean, maybe I found, I not no, I think I found one post on the cult education forum. I don't know if you know this, where
Yeah.
someone talked about Eckhart Tolle and bad experiences with Eckhart Tolle. Maybe I found two things. I don't know, but it was so. It was like nothing. It felt like I'm totally alone with this experience. Something is really wrong with me, and I
Yeah.
don't know where to go. Um, yeah, this was really hardcore. Ah.
And so would you say that, like, at this point, this is sort of like the beginning of you trying to figure out how to disentangle from this path and this view?
Yeah, but I couldn't. I couldn't. I tried to talk to my mother a lot, and she listened a lot to me. And I mean, she wasn't into non-duality at all, so she has a complete other worldview. But it didn't help at all because I was like, I feel like I have no free will. I'm like a robot, and she was like,
Mhm.
no, you aren't. I see you. You're still here. You're existing. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it felt like she just doesn't understand what I'm talking about.
doesn't get it.
Yeah, and so I had luck at one point because somehow I wrote something in a depersonalization forum, and there was one guy or someone who told me, "Hey, do you know Cheetah House?
Okay.
There's help for people in distress because of meditation."
Mhm.
And so I Googled Cheetah House, and I'm very happy that they are so big now. It's a big organization now. When I found them, it was really a small group of people. And I contacted Dr. Willoughby Britton, and
Mhm.
I was lucky that I could talk to her personally. I
Yeah.
think today she charges so much you
Yeah.
yeah. But it was possible to talk to her, and that was the first glimpse of hope for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why? What did she tell you that made you feel hopeful?
Because she could understand where I was because she experienced the same.
Okay.
Because I mean she she came from Buddhism, so it was a little bit different, but there
Mhm.
were many um things which were similar. So I could relate to her experience, and I felt understood for the first time in all this progress. And I mean,
Yeah.
she overcame this, so this got me a lot of hope.
And so what did she suggest to you as the path to getting out of this mess that you felt you were in?
It's hard to remember because we talked a lot about truth because I was struggling so much with my idea that the state I'm in is the true nature of things, and that therefore I cannot let go of this because I mean, if you found the truth of reality, you cannot just overlook this. Or
Yeah.
yeah, so I struggled a lot with this, and she, I don't know how many times she said to me, "No, you don't have to believe this. It's just a belief system." And she tried to
Hmm.
explain this to me over and over again, and this was really helpful. She also said I should try somatic experience.
Mhm.
Um, I did it, but it didn't feel right for me at this point because I was so ungrounded I couldn't concentrate on anything.
Didn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're, like, at the moment where you've spoken to Willoughby Britton at the Cheetah House.
Ah, yeah.
You've gotten, like, a lot of validation, so you don't feel as alone, and
Yeah, that was so important.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely a huge factor in my experience as well. Um, so I guess what would you say is, like, a positive turning point? Like, what started to help you become, like, to get out of the depersonalization and feeling kinda trapped by these experiences and the teachings?
I mean, it took a really, really long time. And I think I can say um, I'm really out of the depersonalization since, I don't know, 5 months or so.
Wow,
So,
so not that long.
no, not that long. I think I can say I had this for almost 8 years. In the end, or the last two, or the last, I don't know, I don't know, time. But it was fluctuating a little bit, but it's almost completely stopped, I think 5 months ago, 5 or 6 months ago. So it was a long progress of trying different things. And yeah, so I I don't know where to start. There wasn't this one thing I did and then everything went away. And
Yeah,
yeah.
but it was a process, and I guess, like, maybe you can like point to like maybe a few different things that helped like in combination? Like did you, for example, stop following the teachings and, stop reading the books and stop doing the self-inquiry practices? Like was that, I imagine that at some point was part of it, was like stepping away from that altogether.
Yeah, this happened, or this was the first thing I tried to do is burn all my books. I burned all my non-duality books in hope that it would somehow be like ritual to clean my mind or something like this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
didn't work because it was in my head and not in the books, you know.
Right.
Um, so I tried to stop with this self-inquiry stuff, but it didn't work at all. I was so obsessed in my head. And at this point, I tried to obsessively find some kind of counter argument against these teachings because I wanted to get out. So I tried to like unsee the truth or see it from another perspective, but it felt like I needed proof for this kind of other perspective, like being this person. Okay, I need proof that I am a person because
Yeah.
they showed me I'm not a person, and I realized this, so I now need proof for the other side. And
Right.
now I know it's not possible because we're talking of philosophy and belief systems. So there isn't a proof for anything, but I
Mm.
was trying desperately to find this. Um,
Like to find a way to stop believing that
yeah,
you had been shown the truth.
yeah, yeah, that was
Hmm.
the main thing for me. And this was a long, long, long way to go. I mean, at one point, this was, I think, 6 months after my breakdown, I call it like this, that I got to know
Hmm.
my husband. And
Okay.
with him, I was able to live on my own again. This was the
Good.
great first step to get out of
Yeah.
this constellation with my mother and living with my mother again. And you don't want to do this if you're 33. So uh, this was cool, and talking to him was great and helpful. And but I think the turning point came when more people were showing up online, including you, people who
Okay.
got harmed, and from not some kind of whatever meditation,
Mm.
but from neo-advaita and non-duality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I started my own YouTube channel, and I got to know Björn, who is now a friend of mine, who also had problems with neo-advaita, and we got in contact and is still in contact now, and talked a lot about all this stuff and tried to deconstruct it. And I did this with you. And over the time, and I think it took 2 years since
Yeah.
till I really realized that this is not my truth, and I don't
Yeah.
have to follow this, and I can do my own thing. And
Hmm.
this was important to stop this obsessive thinking, and
Hmm.
then the depersonalization could slowly leave my system. I would explain it like
Yeah.
this.
So you found, as I did too, that the believing the philosophy or the conclusions about the experiences, like the beliefs and the experiences that you were having were like completely tied together.
Yeah,
And then you found like a key to healing, let's say ungrounding, like side effects was like greatly tied to deconstructing your conviction that it's true that there's no self and there's no doer, and that the experience that you had proved that those things are absolutely true.
yeah, like you
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
So there's a few different questions I could ask at this point. I guess I would maybe ask you, like, what would you say was, how would you describe like the main motivation behind your YouTube channel?
Now or when I started?
When you started, we'll start there.
Yeah, it's a really a funny story because I went to a vacation on my own for 7 days because I wanted to
Okay.
confront myself with
Mhm.
myself. I thought maybe I need some alone time, and I had never the courage to go on vacation on my own. So now I try this to confront my anxieties, and I will go on this vacation. And it was somewhere, how do you say it in English? In a village, in a little village, not in a village, even away from a village, like some little house.
Related and yeah.
Yes, very isolated. And there was a great forest, and every day I was wandering around this forest, and my mind was like, blah, 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 blah. Who is going through this
Yeah.
forest, blah blah. And I was so annoyed that at some point I thought, okay, I have to talk to someone, and I am alone, so I will talk to my camera, because I will not. I don't want to go through this forest talking to myself like a crazy person. So I would talk to my camera.
They did have a purpose maybe.
Yeah, yeah. And I did this, and later I watched it, and I thought, like, okay, somehow I think I'm nice somehow. I like how I talk about this. And I can just share it on YouTube, because nobody will see it anyway. I mean, I'm just talking about my problems and how bad
Yeah.
it all is. And uh, I didn't have, I think I had 10 people following my channel. And I don't know, it was really like an impulse to just share this. Mm.
Yeah. And
And
good thing that you did have that impulse.
yes, yes. And it
Do you think that
was,
so go ahead.
yeah, yeah, it was just, like a routine I had in this on this vacation, to do this every day, and talking
Yeah.
to myself and uploading it on YouTube. And
Yeah.
then I got good feedback over the time. So it
It sounds
started.
kind of like journaling out loud in a way.
Yeah, it
And
was.
did you have a sense that like, maybe even one person will hear this and will feel less alone? Like, did you have a sense that like, oh, this might actually help someone?
I think, yeah, maybe, because I mean, I was still looking for people with similar experiences. Um, Not just in the way with the enlightenment stuff, but also just with depersonalization. Because you
Yeah.
find on YouTube, you find thousands of videos from people talking about how to get rid of depersonalization, but nobody talks about how it feels to be in this state,
Hmm.
how bad it really is. I think I found one guy with one video 5 years ago or whatever, who talked about this, and I found it so, it touched me, because I was in
Hmm.
the same situation. And I think maybe there was a little bit of hope that I can spread awareness for this, and
Yeah.
show how to other people how it feels to be in this situation.
Right. So
Mm.
there's in a way like, I mean, as I see it, it's kind of like it was part of your healing process. Like it was healing you, but at the same time, like what was healing you was also something that could heal other people or help other people like heal as well, which
Yeah,
is
or
amazing.
just feel, don't feel so alone.
Right. Like that it would contribute in some way to someone's healing
Yeah,
process.
yeah,
And I do just want to say, because I remember actually now seeing that video of you in the forest and like you're so angry and you're so authentic. And I know that that's something that people really appreciate about what you share, because it's so much of it is like unfiltered, and like you said, it's just sharing from that first person perspective of what it feels like to be feeling like you're going fucking insane from
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And that there's something really yeah, something really special and powerful about like the rawness of the posts that you shared. um so what have you, I guess, maybe you want to talk about some of the feedback that you've gotten. Like, I guess I now you have like almost 2,000 subscribers or maybe more, or something around there. So, and you've come to see that you were not alone, that there are tons of other people going through this. So maybe like, I don't know if there's anything that's like surprised you in the feedback that you've gotten, or anything that you think would be valuable to share about the feedback that you've gotten, and anything you want to say about like what you've seen to be like the impact of it and the conversations that it's led to with people.
I'm really thankful that I got to know a lot of people because of this YouTube stuff. I think if I hadn't done this, then I don't know if I would know you. Maybe because maybe I would have stumbled across your channel and got in contact with you
You never
without,
know.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But it was really great for me to see that I'm not alone, because I still get not a lot of emails, but I get emails from people who are affected. I also did a few interviews with people who had problems because of non-duality. And I get many messages from people who say that it's so important to talk about this, because in Germany, I'm the only, with Björn, I'm the only one who talks about this. So, yeah, most of the people, I don't know why it's hard to speak up against some kind of spiritual group,
Hmm.
because you have many people who will say to you that you just don't get it or whatever. So it's not easy, but I know many people are thankful that there is some kind of opposite.
Yeah, like people challenging it.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes. And what I also want to say, because this was also really helpful for me, that at one point I started to make reaction videos, because
Okay.
I avoided non-duality totally. I tried to not watch any satsang or read anything about this, because
Mhm.
it was so triggering. And at one point, I tried to, I don't know why, it was also like spontaneous. Okay, I can just try this right now. And it was
Yeah.
super triggering. But
Mhm.
the more I did this, the more I confronted myself again with this teaching, but with a new mindset and the opportunity to talk to people like you about the stuff I hear. And
Mhm.
that really helped me also to overcome this in the end. And people like my reactions very much.
Well, your channel's amazing, and I guess maybe like one of the last questions that I would ask is because on one hand, like you've shared very personal like experiences, like from the heart of the breakdown and stuff that just helps people relate and feel like they're less alone. But you also there's like you also feel called very passionately to bring awareness to these bad experiences that people are having and the things that you've seen that you think are dangerous in this type of non-dual spirituality. My understanding is that you want to bring attention to the dangers in this type of non-dual spirituality, and you see that it's still popular today. And I understand that like you want to hopefully contribute to a greater awareness around the dangers here. What would you like to see change?
There are so many dangerous parts of it, you know. That's for me it feels like a giant gaslighting club.
Hmm.
Because you get told, in essence, you get told that your whole how you're seeing reality is wrong, that you
Hmm.
live in an illusion, that your whole reality is wrong, and they show you how it really is. And
Hmm.
they have great tactics to convince people that how they are feeling and what they are seeing is wrong. And yeah, it shows in so many ways, and it's all really, I think it's all dangerous somehow.
Hmm.
And I'm still looking for solution to this. I mean, you say sometimes you would like this to be that the people deal with this like with psychedelics.
Hmm.
And I think that's a great comparison, but I don't know how this should work as long as we have internet and the
Yeah.
people have the opportunity to talk about this online to thousands of people. I don't know how this is possible. So I have no
Yeah.
solution to this problem, and this makes me insane sometimes. Uh,
Yeah. I hear
yeah,
you, but it feels like the work that you're doing to spread awareness, like we can't change, what other people are going to do necessarily who are putting these messages out there, but having messages out there that challenge it is makes a major impact for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything, I mean, I think everything that you shared will be super helpful for people who are going through something similar, but is there anything that you would feel like saying to um, anybody who's maybe going through a crisis because of the teachings and, depersonalization and dissociation and feeling like really stuck?
Mm. Yeah, this is really hard because I think it's super individual what helps people.
Yeah.
Maybe some people profit from somatic experience or some kind of
Mm.
trauma body work or stuff like this, or classic grounding techniques. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
you have a list on your website with some
Some
kind of
grounding
some
techniques
grounding
to
techniques. I mean,
explore.
people can try all of this stuff. I think that's great. But for
Mm.
me, I would really advise to get in contact with people who experience the same, like
Yeah.
with you or with me or whatever. There's a cat in your background.
Yeah, she's a little blurred in the background, but she's there.
Oh, so cute. Sorry, cats. When I see cats, I'm happy. So
Uh,
yeah, I hope your support group will start again soon because I
yes.
think that's important, can be very important for people who suffer.
Yeah, I will put out information on that soon. Um, well, maybe a good question to end with, unless, if you can think of any other things that you feel like sharing, the floor is yours. But um, I would be curious to hear at this point, how has your perspective changed on, let's say, um, suffering and health and well-being and spirituality? Because, you've obviously rejected the path of, freedom from suffering by getting rid of the one who is suffering, that kind of thing. And also, it sounds like things like mindfulness are also that you've turned away from that as well. From, if you can just kind of be the witness of your suffering, that's freedom. Like, how do you, what's your perspective these days on any of that?
It's not so easy because sometimes people ask me, "Are you still a spiritual person? Are you still searching for something spiritual?" And I I realized that I don't know what spirituality means anymore. Really,
Yeah.
what should this be? So that's the first problem.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think I'm still interested in some kind of spiritual questions, like is there an afterlife or something like this?
Yeah.
But I see it more from a philosophical perspective now. I really
Yeah.
reject the idea of absolute truth. I don't think that any human here on earth knows something about absolute truth. Um, this is freedom for me to not have to believe in some fixed thing anymore. And
Yeah.
also, it makes you very arrogant if you are
Hmm.
in this position that you know how it
Yeah.
is for everyone.
Right.
um, and I'm happy that I don't have this anymore. Mm. But I think your question was a little bit different than.
No, no, I
uh,
think I think that's kind of what I was expecting to hear. Like, it sounds like maybe one shift has been having like a more open attitude towards truth and spiritual, realizations, like rather than believing that there's one truth or one spiritual goal that everybody should have that reflects the truth, that it sounds like you're much more open to a variety of different perspectives. And it sounds, I don't know if you would say, but similar to, like, for me, like, that it feels like that's opened up like a greater sense of like choice, like exploring many different perspectives and being able to kind of choose what resonates with you and what feels healthy for you and aligned with, the type of life that you want and way that you want to be, without needing it to be about like which one is the absolute truth kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
And
Took
I
a
also
long
find
time
that very
to let
freeing.
this go. Yeah, yeah. I always
Yeah.
wanted this kind of security. because I thought when I know the absolute truth about reality, it will feel so secure. And it was hard to let go of this. Sometimes it still is. Um, but all in all, it feels more true to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love like kind of like the phrase like freedom from absolute truth or like
Yeah.
freedom from enlightenment or those kinds of things. And who would have ever thought that we'd get to that to that place? But maybe I'll end on one last question. So you've done some really great conversations with Tim Freak,
Mm,
who is a spiritual philosopher who used to align with and write books about and run events based on like Advaita Vedanta, true self, false self, and then later came to really question all of that. And I think something that you and me both found really helpful with him was the way that he's kind of broken down what's going on with these ultimate truth pointers
hmm.
that really helped and can help a lot of people. Like I'm saying, let people watch the videos that you've done with him to help when people feel trapped because they believe that they've seen the ultimate truth because they've been pointed to have this direct experience of
Yeah.
it. So I wonder if you want to say something about what you've come to realize about, I guess, the connection between those experiences and what's actually true. Like,
Mm.
if you want to maybe say something about that.
I mean, for me, it's like every idea I have can get so strong that it will change my perception of reality to match this idea I have. I mean, calls it ideation.
Hmm.
Um, and this makes so much sense to me now. Mm, so the way we perceive the world is strongly formed from the things we believe.
Right.
So I'm losing my
It's okay.
train of thoughts.
I feel
My
like
concentration is gone now.
it's totally okay. I feel like we touched a lot of things, and I'm glad that I got the chance to hear more of your story that I didn't even know.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you, Jessica, for having the
is
opportunity.
yeah, is there anything that you feel like you want to say before we wrap it up for now?
I like
No pressure.
to I like to say to people, don't stop being skeptic. I
Hmm.
think that's always my main message. And listen to yourself. And if something
Hmm.
doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel good. And it just because someone says it's the truth doesn't make it true. S-
Well, I think
Something like
that's
this.
a good positive message to end on, and also just want to like remind you how grateful I am for your work and well that you exist.
Me too.
But the work that you're doing, because I know that it's not easy and you do get a lot of backlash from
Mm.
hostile people that don't like the message that you're putting out and feel threatened by it. But I hope that you will just keep doing what you're doing. And I know that many people are finding hope and help from what you're doing. So thank you.
I can just give this back to you. But thank you. Yeah.